Hey everyone, so this is just a quick tutorial just to explain how you can get the most out of your creations in Marvelous Designer, how you can transfer the majority of your detail, how you can get perfect UVs, everything like that. So this is going to be really useful, so let's just dive in. So I'm using an example that's pretty complicated because this is kind of like a worst case scenario for transferring detail. You know, you've got your multiple patterns like you're usually going to have all sewn together, like if you've got like a t-shirt or something, or pretty much anything in Marvelous Designer, you're going to have this. It's a knot that's been tied in over itself, so there's loads of folded geometry in here, really difficult to transfer in something like ZBrush. So and also, you know, if you're doing this the ordinary way, you're going to have decimated topology like this, and this is entirely unusable really. So you're going to want quads for a start. So yeah, first things first is you can quadrangulate this. So just right click on it and hit quadrangulate, and depending on your PC this can take various lengths of time depending on the resolution of your garment. Another way to do this as well is to just go up into edit, context menu, 3D garment, and it's in here as well under quadrangulate. So yeah, this is actually usable at the moment in its current state, but the problem with this is that when you start to divide things up, you're going to run into issues here with these like star shapes and stuff. You know, multiple edges all sharing the one vertex, so that's a problem. That'll create pinching and texture problems like that. So you don't really want that. So we're gonna address this as well. So next thing you're going to want to do before you export this is you're going to want to check some things and make sure everything's good. So this is a particle distance of 10. That's a bit too low res, so you're going to want to maybe simulate this at a slightly lower particle distance. So I'm going to do 4, and you're going to get a warning that says lower than 5mm will slow down simulation, and yeah, that's to be expected. So this may take a while. Again, it depends on your PC. But you're going to want that resolution just to really get some good accurate folds. Okay, so yeah, that's it simulating, and yeah, that's about good enough. So we'll stop that there and have a look at that, and yeah, that's looking good enough for what we need. Yeah, it's maintaining all of its folds. Yeah. Okay, so we're about ready for export now. We just need to check our UVs. So UVs in Marvelous Designer are great because they're made pretty much by proxy when you make your patterns. So yeah, I've already laid mine out. So just make sure they're all within the bounds of each UDIM tile. So they can be across multiple UDIM tiles if it's a very high resolution piece. This is fine. This is all just in the one. So that's good. So yeah, we're all ready to export now. So we want to export this thing first, so just select your garment, File, Export, OBJ selected. I'm just going to call this one Scarf 3D. Okay, save. And what I've got here is what you want. So select all patterns, single object, unweld, thin unified UV coordinates, centimeters. Yeah, that's it. Just copy what I've got on my screen. Okay, that's exported. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to reset our 2D arrangement. So right click on it, reset 2D arrangement, and that's going to just wrap this back out to the pattern like you've got in your pattern window, make it completely flat. So we want to export this 2D object as well. So export, OBJ selected, and we're just going to call this one Scarf 2D, and we're just going to use all the same settings. Okay, so now we can go into Maya. Okay, so now we're in Maya, and I've just imported my 3D object here and my 2D arrangement, and we're going to retopologize this, and we're going to wrap it to this one. And what's really useful about these two objects here is that they both have the exact same UVs. Right? So that's important for what we're going to do. So we're going to select this one, click this magnet up here, which is going to make this live so that vertexes are going to stick to it. Click quad draw, and I'm just going to draw a quad. So this is really easy for the scarf because this is just squares. If you're going to be making a t-shirt or something, you're going to have a slightly more complex pattern. But the principle's the same. One thing that you just have to make sure about though is that with each of your patterns, wherever there's an edge that's been sewn to another edge, they have to have the same number of edges, right? So this one's, it's all the same, they're all identical, so that's going to be pretty easy. If it's like a t-shirt or something, then you're just going to have to take care to make sure that where your sleeves meet your chest area, you know, if your sleeves have 4 edges, then your chest area is going to have 4 edges where they meet, and you'll see why this is important in a bit. Okay, so yeah, come off quad draw. Just going to select this here. Going to Control D to duplicate that. Going to center my pivot, and I'm just going to drag it across. And just to be accurate, I'm going to align it to this by just holding down D and then clicking on the face I want to align it to, and yeah, just make sure it's accurate. And I'm just going to do that with everything else. Control D to duplicate, and then drag it into place. Okay, select all these, mesh, combine, and I'm just going to delete my history, so go to edit, delete all by type, history. This just keeps everything light, make sure that all the history is deleted. I've mine put in a hotkey for that because it's really useful. Alright, so now we've got all this and we want it to be over here. This doesn't share the same UVs. If you were to look at the UVs on this, this is what they look like. So it's completely different, they're all overlapped. Yeah, it's no good. So we need to transfer the UVs from this onto this. So select your scarf 2D, select your new topology, and then go up to mesh, transfer attributes, and select this box here, which is going to open the options window. Alright, so you want to make sure your vertex position's off, vertex normal's off, and your sample space is going to be world. So click world. Just you can pause this and copy this if you want to see it. So hit transfer, and once that's done, yeah, if you've done it right, they should have the same UVs, and that's really useful for our next step. So our next step is we're going to select the 3D mesh, and then we're going to select your poly surface again, and you're going to do the same thing again. Open the transfer attributes box, only this time we're going to put the vertex position on, and the sample space is going to be UV, so it's going to use the matching UVs to extrapolate the position, and it's going to move the vertexes there. So hit transfer, and if you can see this, I'll just hide this now. So this is now in the shape of our scarf. Only the problem with this is that while it does have perfect topology, we've lost all this detail. So if you were to start dividing this, like in ZBrush, if you were going to sculpt it, you've lost all this detail. It's just going to smooth it all out. Alright. So there's 2 ways to tackle this. One is to you take your model into ZBrush, and then you project your detail, and that's fine for things like t-shirts and trousers and things that are flat. But the issue we have here is this knot. This is just really not going to play ball when you try and transfer detail in ZBrush. So you can just do this again. You can select your 3D mesh, you can select your surface again, go to mesh, hit transfer attributes, and we're using the same options, so you can just click it. And there we go. So now we have this perfect topology and all of our nice detail that we got in Marvelous, right? But the issue is we have these seams because that's where our pattern seams were, and this is really easy to fix. But this is why it's important to make sure that each edge has the matching number of edges, which it does here. So really easy to fix this. Just select each edge. Control right click to vertices. Select all your vertices, and then just click and merge them. And you'll have to raise the threshold a bit, not too much, just a bit. You can click this to lower the sensitivity, this little pie. Yeah, there you go. So that's them merged. And I know there's 3 seams here which I need to get. Control to vertices, merge. Yeah, that's them merged. And this one seems to be a bit lost, so if that's the case, you can just open your UVs. Select, opening your UV viewer is enough. Usually you can see, yeah, there's your seam. Okay, so edge, them. Control click to vertices, merge. That's where they merge. So this is all now one object. Okay, but the issue with this is that it's paper thin. It's only got one normal, so we need it to be thick, like a real piece of fabric. And that's super easy as well. You just select the object, modeling toolkit, extrude, and extrude all your faces, click thickness, and just bring the thickness out. And you can get in there and have a look and see just how much you need to bring it out by. You want to maybe match what you had in Marvelous, or just have an eye on when things start to collide. This is good enough. You can always move things around in ZBrush afterwards. So this is good. And one more thing you need to do before you can move on with this is that now you've made 2 sets of UVs, and they're overlapping. So open up your UV window, and there's actually 8 UV islands because they're now on top of each other. So don't click and drag it, because if you do that you'll select all 8, so that when you move it you're just moving all 8. Just click, shift click each one, and then just move these. So now your inside and your outside are 2 distinct sets. Okay, so now we can take this into ZBrush. Okay guys, so here we are in ZBrush, and now if you see, you can just Control D and divide this up, get this right up, something like 8 million polys, maybe even higher if you want, if you're going to do some real good sculpting on this. And we've got all this great crispy detail here, and this is great for sculpting. So, you know, you can just get in here and yeah, just start sculpting away all this fabric. And what's great with your UVs as well is that you can use these perfect UVs to create really good surface displacement. So if you go surface, noise, and just choose an alpha. So I've got some fabric alphas I'm going to use. and select UV, so it's using your UVs. Okay, that's good. And okay, and I'll just apply this to the mesh. Again, this may take a while depending on your PC. Okay, yeah, so there you go, and now you've got this great surface detail, and because of our UVs and the way they were laid out, they're all flowing in the same direction, so you're getting this really good grain that's really realistic, goes all the way around the model, around all the edges and everything. Yeah, very realistic. So you can use this to create some really good high resolution displacement maps or normal maps. Okay, yep, so that's everything. Really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, and you can check out my ArtStation portfolio in the description below. Yep, thanks, bye bye.